Good morning, brothers and sisters. I want to talk to you this morning about a little bit about everything. The love and fear of God, and our relationship with God, at least mine anyway, is love, mostly love, but there's fear there too. And mostly the people that don't fear God, you know, they come on the internet, they don't really fear God because they don't believe in Him. They never seen His angry side. But I have, you know. Let me read this Bible verse. This is Psalms 76, starting at verse 7. Thou, even thou art to be feared, and who may stand in thy sight when once thou art angry? Thou didst cause judgment to be heard from heaven. The earth feared and was still, when God arose to judgment to save all the meek of the earth. Selah. Surely the wrath of man shall praise thee. The remainder of wrath shalt thou restrain. But anyway, it goes down here and says, He shall cut off the spirit of princes. He is terrible to the kings of the earth. You see, those in high places, the greater part of them, don't fear God. And I don't envy their end, you know. I don't envy them. But the meek of the earth, He's saving them, say. That's one of the attributes of a child of God, meekness. But I know I've learned to fear God because I know that He can keep you alive in this present world longer than you want to be alive in a woodshed type of existence, you know. Discipline. He disciplines His children while here in this present world. Judgment, it begins here. He straightens us out down here. But anyway, the what I was thinking on today was the how God I have a lapse of thinking, you know, how He can't think of what I'm going to say. Oh yeah, I was thinking like the rivers of water, the king's heart is in the hands of the Lord, and like the rivers of water, He turneth it whithersoever He willeth. So these kings that were doing all these evil deeds, over here, and it says He restrains, you know, He'll allow so much wrath that it'll bring praise to Him, and then He restrains it. And then the king's heart, he's moving it like the river. It's in motion with their evil ways, but He's turning it whithersoever He willeth. So He's turning it whithersoever He willeth. The king's heart. So I was wondering, though, how does this apply to us today? You know, we see all these people in high places doing these wicked things, these deceitful things to the masses. So how does that apply to us? Well, I don't think we should be, you know, what it does to me is it just reinforces the fact that this is a present evil world. And they try to put a shine on it, like, you know, man, this is a great place, you know. But really, it's a present evil world, and so, but they want God's people to fall in love with this present evil world, when really it's not. It's just a blinding, shining light, you know. There's nothing to it. It's passing away. And so we don't have to join up with it, this present evil world, you know. You know, there's ways of escape, you know. You find your solace, your solitude in this world, and don't join up with it, you know. Don't fall for the story that you know, they own these television commercials. They make it all look good and everything. But I remember when I was in Atlanta one time. This was way back in the 50s. I was just a small boy. And back then they used to have cars, old cars, all along the highways, old junkyards. They tried to cover them up now, but they had... but they've used to have them just about everywhere, you know. And we remember pulling into this place. My dad stopped and got gas or something. And I looked over there, and there was old cars just, this was in the 50s, just stacked up one on top of another. Old Hudsons and old Mercurys. Big, huge. They used to be big cars back then. But they didn't run that good. But not the way they do now. They run a long time now. Back then, they'd tear up and they'd junk them. They put them on the side of the road. But I used to just sit there and think. There used to be a family in that car, you know. Once it was new, you know. Even back then, I used to think about things like that. And there it is, rusting on the side of the road. That's the way it is with this old world. Everything is passing away. I don't care how new it looks or how innovative. These wise men think that they're wise, but, you know, it's just foolishness with God. I saw one there one and thought it wanted me to go back to school and learn something, but I'd rather be taught of God. No, thank you. You know, I appreciate the one that was taken up for me, but no, I'd rather be taught of God. You know, and I got enough right now. I can read a little bit and write a little bit. No simple math. So I got enough right now to get me through this life, even seeing I'm 71 years old. But and he got me this far. So but anyway, I was just thinking on that today. Let's see. How every soul should be subject to the higher power, because there's no power but of God. He's ultimately in control of even the wicked actions of men, and yet he's still holy and just, and they'll receive, if they're not one of God's people, they'll receive for their unjust actions here on earth, their sinful actions. And see, we know we're sinners. See, God's people are meek people because they know that they're sinners, and we know we're no better than the vilest heathen out there, the ones that are not God's elect, not the one God loved from the foundation of the world. We know that, and that we know there are vestiges of sin within us. So we can't get too high up on a horse, you know, high horse, because it's just by the mercy of God, according to His mercy, that He saved us. And which brings me to another subject. Well, anyway, I'm just bouncing around here from subject to subject. But I heard a fellow the other day said, give your life to Jesus, and then go into all the world. And but anyway, I remember when a preacher told me that a long time ago. But no, it's not ours to give. Dead man don't give anything to Jesus. He has to make us alive. Oh yeah, and Martha was one of the first ones to talk about the resurrection. And Martha was Jesus loved Martha. But Martha was a character, you know. She was complaining about somebody. She was doing work, somebody, and the others weren't. But she was a real character. But, you know, we'd be in big trouble. I'd be in big trouble if it weren't for the Marthas of this world, because she was probably a good cook, you know. Jesus loved Martha, even though she was not what we would call, you know, she was a sinner just like you and me. Let's put it that way. But I'm just rambling now, but that's mainly what I do anyway. But let's see. I know I put this out there before. Just got a few minutes here, and I put this John 1:13 out there. I know I got it in another video over there. I can't remember what it is, but I'll just put it on here because somebody might not have heard of it. It's John 1:13, how it shows you without any doubt whatsoever that man has nothing to do with his salvation. Which were born not of blood, which were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. You know, that's how it goes. But let's break it down. Not of blood. Child of grace, your relatives had nothing to do with the new birth. See, that's blood. Your blood relatives, they don't have anything to do with it. It covers that area. Nor of the will of the flesh. Beloved, you can't starve or discipline your body enough to merit the new birth. So that covers anything in your willpower that would cause you to cause the new birth. So that covers that. Nor of the will of man. Wow. Child of God, your so-called free will had nothing to do with your new birth, for you were dead in your trespasses and sins when the miraculous event occurred. So you see, absolutely, your will had nothing to do with being born again, which is opposite to what we're taught by every Sunday morning when you turn the television on, if you turn it on. But of God, that's the last thing. My dear brothers and sisters, it was God's will and His alone that is responsible for your spiritual rebirth into His very, very large family. This wonderful event is founded upon God's great and particular love for you before the world began. His people's names were written in the Lamb's Book of Life from the foundation of the world, which makes it impossible for man's will to have any claim to any part of the blessed event. We had no say in our natural birth, and likewise we have no say in our spiritual birth. It is entirely of God's grace. You see, it was His idea, not your idea, the new birth. It's entirely of God. That's in John 1:13. Really, you don't need any other verse, but there's plenty of them. There's plenty of them that refute all these, these other verses that are like, way off in the distance, kind of, they aren't explicit verses, but there's plenty of explicit verses that show you that God's grace is and His great love and His rich mercy are the reasons that for the reason you seek after God right now. And if you seek after God, you pray or anything like that, that's evidence that you're one of His. Okay, well, I'll end it now. I'm running up on time limit. But I'll get back with you next time, God willing.